radio. We are live on Oluyole 96.3 FM and Agility 92.1 FM. And yes, a whole lot definitely need to dissect this morning. The last has not been heard. Yes, about the appointment of Eric Sekushela to more or less head the coaching crew for Nigeria's Super Eagles. Yes, that appointment has been sending ripples in Nigeria's football ecosystem. Sport journalists, ex-internationals, they have been bearing their thoughts. And yes, we'll be bringing the voices of two players that once donned the green and white for Nigeria's Super Eagles. Talking about defender Ifeanyi Udeze, they call him Man Wisabi, and also Mr. Garba Lawala. Yes, I will be playing their voices, sharing their thoughts about what they feel about the appointment of the Malian Eric Sekushela. Yes, I'll be giving you the result of the second semi-final game of the League Cup that went down at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium between Tottenham Hotspur and Liverpool Football Club. And other sports stories, jot down this phone number 070-555-1985. Yes, that's the phone number that makes your call into our live studio this morning. Yes, also share your thoughts. What do you feel, or what's your opinion about the NFF's move to more or less bring the first non-Nigerian African to be in charge of the Super Eagles of Nigeria? And yes, according to the release from the NFF, Eric Sekushela is to resume with immediate effect, meaning his first major assignment will be the African Nations Championship set to go down from the 1st of February in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. Yes, starting with the first story this morning. Yes, starting with reactions as they continue to pour in over the appointment of Eric Sekushela as the Super Eagles coach. Well, remember the Nigeria Football Federation's announcement of Eric Sekushela. That was in the early hours or late night, Tuesday night, on their official X handle. And yes, this announcement sparked mixed opinions from Nigerian football legends. Yes, in a surprise move, the NFF revealed Shell's appointment on social media. And yes, the former Mali international team coach makes history as the first non-Nigerian African to helm the Super Eagles. Former Super Eagles stars Ifeanyi Udeze and Garba Lawala. Yes, so while speaking to our sport desk, that was yesterday, shared contrasting opinions on the views, all their views on the appointment of the Malian. While for Ifeanyi Udeze, he expressed disappointment, while Garba Lawala praised Shell's boldness to more or less take on that challenging role. And yes, he urged Nigerians to rally behind the new coach, emphasizing the need for support at this time. Yes, I'll be playing you the voices of both ex-players. And yes, what do you feel about their opinions?
We're in a tight corner, my brother. We need to qualify for World Cup. That's the most important thing for now. and we are in a tight corner. This coach was sacked by Mali, by the Football Federation of Mali. Why? Because he was not doing well per se, based on the World Cup qualifier. Remember, during the AFCONs, he was beaten by I think, if I could remember, the Ivory Coast or so, beaten during the AFCON, the last AFCON, and then he was angry, he was crying openly. And after the AFCON, this guy has played 4 World Cup qualifiers for Mali. Before he was sacked, he played 4, which 3 of those 4 he played was at home in Mali, which he won 1, drew 2, and he lost against Ghana. Then he was sacked. Yeah, listen, we have 6 games to play in our World Cup qualifier, and we must win the whole of our 6 games. The remainder of our 6 games must be won. And we need to win those games, and we'll just relax and be hoping for opponents or those in our group to draw points. That's really what qualify for the World Cup. So imagine we drew 1 game now or lose 1 game. What happens? In the World Cup qualifier, what happens? You're out of the World Cup. That's the truth. You're out. So I don't know. I think it's not the best choice, but the truth is NFL has made their decision. They stand by their decision. And for me, based on the fact that I love Super Eagles, I will still give him my support and give him the benefit of doubt, and then see what he can do or what he has to offer.
And subsidiary, because I believe the coach is brave enough to come out and say yes, because maybe another they'll be contacting other coaches now because of the situation we have. Some coaches will say no, but I like his courage to come out and say yes. Why not? I'm interested on the job, and NFL appoint him as a coach now. There's nothing we can do. We just have to give him support 100%. And outside the Nigerian fans, it's very key. At this moment, we need everybody. We don't need to divide ourselves. He's been appointed, and there's no going back. There's nothing we can do.
Nigerians, I'm sure you've heard the opinions of these former players for Nigeria's Super Eagles. Well, you've heard there is nothing we can do other than to support Eric Sekushel. At least that was the consensus from these 2 players. Well, while Ifeanyi says he feels he's not the best candidate, that is Eric Shell. Garba Lawal said he expresses or more or less appreciates the boldness of the Malian to more or less take over the Super Eagles head coaching role. So yes, next week Wednesday we'll be having the draws for the African Nations Championship set to go down in Nairobi, Kenya, and yes, we will see who the Super Eagles will face in the group stages of the tournament, and yes, that will be the beginning of the test for Eric Sekushel. And yes, we begin to wonder, so the jobs which Daniel Ogumadede and Fidelis Elechuku have been doing so far with the Chan Eagles, what becomes of it at this point? Well, time will tell. And yes, taking a look at the profile or the CV of Eric Shell, during his playing days, he won 5 caps for the Eagles of Mali, where he coached clubs on the continent of Africa here and even within the continent of Europe. And yes, he started with GS Consular in the French Amateur League before moving to the second tier, that was the French Ligue 2, where he was on the books of FC Martigues and also Bologna in the French Ligue 2 before taking the coaching role in Africa, that is MC Oran in the Algeria Ligue 1. And yes, that was his last job before he more or less took over coaching role for Nigeria's Super Eagles. And at the African Cup of Nations, he was in charge of the Eagles of Mali as their coach. And yes, they got to the quarterfinals. Where they lost to eventual winners Cote d'Ivoire 2-1 after extra time. In fact, they were leading by a lone goal in the final minute of regulation time before the tides changed. And yes, so before he became Nigeria's coach with MC Oran, out of 11 games played, he lost 5. That was out of 11 games played so far in the season. Well, we wish him all the best as he more or less takes over the coaching role of Nigeria's Super Eagles. And yes, moving straight to the continent of Africa, from the camp of the Confederation of African Football, well, CAF has now announced an increase in the prize money for the winners of the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship, or CHAN, are set to go down in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda with an increase of 75%, and now the winners will be receiving $3.5 million. And yes, CAF also has announced a total prize money for the CHAN, Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda 2024 to $10.4 million, an increase of 32%. So right now, CAF are dangling the carrot ahead of this major tournament. Maybe this will increase the level of competition and even improve the quality of game ahead of the tournament. And yes, according to reports that we got, well, Eric Shell, the new Super Eagles coach, is now set to receive a whooping 80 million naira salary when he resumes. In fact, as he has now resumed with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Well, his pay packet is to see him receive $50,000 per month, and upon conversion, that's 80 million naira. And yes, that will make him one of the highest paid national team coaches in Africa. Well, it was also said he took a pay cut to more or less receive the new appointment with the NFF. As it was said, he was being paid $70,000 when he was with the Mali national team. And yes, the contract also marks a significant improvement in conditions for assistant coaches as they will now earn $5,000 each under Chelsea's management. So right now, ahead of the official unveiling ceremony set to go down later next week, we are members of the press might have the chance to interface with the coach firsthand. We'll be having full details as time go by. And there's some Super Eagles players have now started sending in welcome messages to the new head coach for the Super Eagles. And yes, first on the list was a winger, Moses Daddy Simon. Yes, he took to social media on his official X page, posting "Bienvenue au Nigeria," which translates to "Welcome to Nigeria." Yes, that's to the 47-year-old Eric Scheller. Well, as you know, Moses Simon plays in the French Ligue 1 with FC Nantes. So yes, perhaps there will be, or there should be, some affinity between both men when they see eye to eye for the first time in the camp of Nigeria. So Super Eagles. So yes, I'm still expecting your calls on the program this morning. 070-555-1985. 070-555-1985. What is your thought about the new appointment for Nigeria's Super Eagles? Is he the best man for the job? Or is it a case of let's wait and see? While we expect your calls, I'm moving straight to other stories. And yes, we are going foreign now in Europe. And yes, to the camp of West Ham United. For yesterday, Julien Lopetegui became the fifth manager to receive the sack in the current English Premier League season. Well, we saw minders telling us that West Ham they cancelled a scheduled press conference, and that was when we started seeing the handwriting on the wall. And yes, moments later, West Ham announced the sack of Julien Lopetegui, and one man is now set to make a return to the English Premier League clubs. Yes, we're talking about former Brighton and Hove manager, former Chelsea manager, Graham Potter. Because right now, according to reporter, Graham Potter will now be appointed as West Ham's new manager. Well, the former Brighton and Chelsea boss has now agreed a 2.5-year deal with the Hammers, and is set to be unveiled by the Hammers. That will be later this morning. For Julien Lopetegui, he only lasted 6 months in charge. And yes, he was appointed in May following the departure of David Moyes, who officially took charge. That was on the 1st of July. And under Lopetegui's tenure, the Hammers won just 6 Premier League games, which is very poor for a manager of his standard. And yes, last night in the EFL Cup, of the Carabao Cup, Tottenham Hotspur, they edged out Liverpool in a controversial finale to their Carabao Cup semi-final first leg. Lucas Begvola gave Spurs a narrow advantage to take to Anfield. But Liverpool, when they were felt undone, that was after the 18-year-old Begvola, who was on the pitch and made a decisive contribution 4 minutes from time. Begvola was on a yellow card when he caught a Liverpool defender, Costa Tsimikas, late in an incident which was not seen by referee Stuart Atwell. Tsimikas was still off the pitch when Begvola scored moments later, prompting a furious reaction from head coach Arne Slot. Well, for Arne Slot, he also received a yellow card for his off-field antics following that goal from Tottenham Hotspur late in the game last night. So right now, up next is the second leg that will be played in the month of February. 6th of February, the second leg will be going down at the Anfield Stadium. Well, one legend of the game has now bid farewell. Talking about France's World Cup winning manager Didier Deschamps. Yes, he's now set to step down after next year's tournament. That's next year's FIFA World Cup, set to go down in the United States, Canada and Mexico. And yes, the 56-year-old is France's longest serving manager. That was after taking the role as coach since year 2012. Well, he led the Le Bleu of France to victory at the 2018 FIFA World Cup, as well as reaching the finals in the 2022 tournament in Qatar, and also the Euro 2016 tournament, which France hosted. Taking a quote from Didier Deschamps, he said, in 2026, it will be over. In my head, it's very clear. I've done my time with the same desire and passion to maintain France at the highest level. One has to be able to say stop. There's a life after this. The most important is for France to stay at the top, and there has been many years. For Didier Deschamps, he is one of 3 players and managers that have lifted the FIFA World Cup. I'm talking about Mario Zagallo, Franz Beckenbauer, and yes, Didier Deschamps. Remember, he lifted the FIFA World Cup when France hosted the tournament in 1998 when he was captain, and yes, repeating that feat in 2018 when the World Cup was hosted in Russia. And yes, one bit of news that will gladden football fans of a football club of Barcelona. Well, Dani Olmo and Pau Victor will be allowed to play for Barcelona after the club was granted a provisional permission to register the pair by Spanish National Sports Council, that was the CSD. Well, both players who were both summer signings were only registered for the first half of the season as Barca could not meet La Liga's wage cap restrictions. And on Saturday, the Spanish Football Federation, the RFEF, and La Liga they rejected Barcelona's request to register them. However, the CSD stepped in on Wednesday following an appeal by the club to grant a precautionary measure and allow the pair to play for the short term. And yes, Barcelona, they were involved in the game yesterday. Yes, that was in the Spanish Supercopa, the Supercopa de España. And yes, Barcelona won 2-0 against Athletic Club, that's Athletic Bilbao. Goals are from Gavi in the 17th minute and Lamine Yamal scoring the winner in the 52nd minute. Ensured the victory was for Barcelona. And yes, later tonight by 8 p.m, Real Madrid will be taking on Real Mallorca. Yes, in the other fixture of the Spanish Supercopa. Or check your time now. This is 3 minutes to the hour of 8. Dropping anchor on the program this morning. Bobulu Ajogumala will be here tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. for the Friday edition. I'd like to call it the winning edition for Spotted Beat. Enjoy the rest of your day. Make today a winning day for yourself. My name is Oluyole. I'll see you next time.
dídùn agogo ọjọ́ kando àǹfìrí lórí dídùn sẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ gbẹ̀ngbẹ̀ kọjọ́ tí wọyọwọyọ èdè kọ̀ǹkọ̀sọ̀ kíkẹ́ olóbùrò ọjọ́ tẹyẹkẹyẹ nínú oko Olúyọ̀lé 98.5 FM bàbá àṣàlẹ̀ iléeṣẹ́ agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ ó lọ́jọ́ lórí. pẹ̀lú ẹ̀kú kẹ́kẹ́ ètò ìjìnlẹ̀ Olúyọ̀lé 98.5 FM ó dàgbà nínú ìmọ̀ ó ń fi gbogbo ọjọ́ taari ọgbọ́n ó ń fi gbogbo ọjọ́ taari ìmọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo yọkọ̀ mú òkun Olúyọ̀lé 98.5 FM wọn èé kàdàmọ̀dì ìròyìn ètò gbogbo pẹ̀lú dẹ́ndé àmọ̀tó ọ̀rọ̀ nítorí ìdárayá àmúlùmọ́lá òsì. gbangba lasata Olúyọ̀lé 98.5.
Elétí ọ̀fẹ́ ìròyìn tó gbajúgbajà. Ẹ máa gbọ́ nínú ilé nínú mọ́tò tàbí lórí ẹ̀rọ ìléwọ́. Elétí ọ̀fẹ́ ìròyìn tó gbajúgbajà. Abẹ́ praise ó tún ti yá ká tún jọ gbọ́ Elétí ọ̀fẹ́. Elétí ọ̀fẹ́ ìròyìn rẹ̀ o.
akíwa wípé àkójúmọ́ a sì káàbọ̀ sí orí ètò yín ètò wa ètò Elétí ọ̀fẹ́ ọpẹ́ ni fún Ọlọ́run ọba nítorí pé àwa la lè wá ẹ̀yin náà la lè bá Ọlọ́run tí ò wá jẹ́ ká fi ẹnìkankan wa ṣàwátì ọpẹ́ ni fún Ọlọ́run asùnláyọ̀ bùnmi àjíláyọ̀ agbé apá wa ó ṣe é gbé alẹ́ inú wa a fi sọ̀rọ̀ agbọn gbogbo ara wa jìgìjìgì
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ó dúró
síbi kankan tó dùn wá
àbíyèsí Ọlọ́run ṣe
ṣágbára wa ni àníṣe mímọ̀ ṣe wa ni
kí la lè dá ṣe àwa tá a lè dá di ẹ.
orí ọ̀fẹ́ àti àánú la rí gbà nítorí wípé nígbà tá a sùn lálẹ́ àná tọwọ́ pa tẹ́sẹ̀ pa ẹ̀mí wa gan ti rìn lọ káàkiri ó wu Ọlọ́run ọba nínú àánú rẹ̀
tó dá padà sínú àgọ́ ara
gẹ́gẹ́ bí alààyè ọkàn ìdí rèé o tá a fi ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run ọba torí wípé ó dá wa sí ó dá ẹ̀yin náà sí ó pa wá mọ́ ó dáàbò bò wá ó ń pèsè